Hello, so now we're in Algarve in the beautiful village of Odeceixe. I hope I pronounce it correctly. And this is the windmill I will sketch with the houses, and I will also take this beautiful cork oak tree with it in my sketch. It's very windy, so I hope that the camera doesn't move too much. Enjoy! Sketching outside is really a challenge. Here I have a comfortable bench to sit, but it's really terribly windy. I think you see everything moving a lot, but the view is amazing. And this beautiful windmill is very typically Portuguese, I think, so it will definitely end up in my book. I made first a quick watercolor sketch, with watercolor pencil, because the windmill is so beautifully white, so I don't want any black lines. And I start with the grass. I make the greens of the grass flow on the page. I leave everything freely flowing underneath. So this is again a negative painting. To paint the white building, I paint around the building. And the white of the building is the white of the paper. I will add shadows later to make it look round. So for this blue sky, it's really amazing today. I use cerulean blue and French ultramarine blue, and I try to make not the whole sky of the same intensity, otherwise it will look quite flat. So I make the blue a bit darker around the windmill and on top of the page, and I will let the blues flow into each other, so they're quite granulating. It will add some nice effects. There are some houses in the background of the village on top of the hill, and I make a suggestive sketch for these houses, and they're also white with tiled roofs, so I will suggest some light terracotta roofs. Let's sketch the tree. It's a very old tree, fantastic. Look well in what direction the trunks and the branches are going. The tree is tilted from standing so long in the wind, so I draw a tilted tree trunk with a soft graphite pencil, and I wet the page a bit to paint the leaves of the tree on the wet paper, so the greens will flow into each other. So I first paint the leaves of the tree, and not all the branches are visible because there are a lot of leaves. And I splash the green around it in the leaves, and splashes are a great way to suggest leaves. Look well also for the shadows in the tree to give it some volume. Add darker green and gray to suggest the shadows and the darker leaves, otherwise it will look quite flat. So underneath is darker because of course the sun is coming from above in the sky. For the tree trunk, I use my gray mixture of ultramarine blue and transparent orange. I almost never paint my tree trunks brown. I see that often, brown tree trunks in paintings, and I don't like it so much because I think it doesn't look very natural. Most of the time, a tree trunk looks more grayish. Now I add the shadow on the windmill, and this will make the building look round. If you don't add shadow, your building will look quite flat, and you might think it's a square building. So when the green is a bit dry, I add some extra shadows also in the tree. I make it in layers, and I really fell in love with this tree, so I think I will overdo it a bit. So I really think I will remember this windmill forever, because making sketchbooks is the best way to remember your travel afterwards. When you draw a place, instead of taking a picture, you're really mindful and present. And I will remember when I look at my drawing afterwards, I will remember the feeling and the sound of the wind, and of course, the wonderful sun. So now I add some details in the roof and the shadows in the windows. The shadows in the windows are really dark because the walls are very thick, and then there's this beautiful blue line around the windows and on the building itself. Apparently these blue lines are mostly for fishermen's houses, and the yellow lines on the houses are for farmers, I heard. I add some grass, and also the grass is tilted, and that will make the impression of a windy scene more lively. I make dry brush strokes for the grass to suggest the wind. And now I try to draw the rest of the windmill, and I will start in pencil first, and that's a bit tricky. Look in what direction the lines are going. I use colored pencil, and the direction of the lines for this mill are a bit tricky actually. But anyway, again, we are not a copy machine, and it doesn't really matter if it's not totally correct, but I want, of course, that people see it's a windmill. And I add some old branches with a hard black pencil. It's a Pierre Noir pencil by Conte, and it's really a quite hard pencil, which gives very textured dark black lines. So to give you some steps to paint the tree, study the tree, look at the shape, the leaves, the branches, the colors. Trees have different kinds of colors. And note how the light and shadow play on the tree. This is a cork tree. It's a very important tree in Portugal. So look at how high and wide the trunk is, in what direction it's growing, and note the proportions of the trunk and the green crown. Add some shadow also under the tree, so the grass under the tree is a bit darker because you have the shadow from the tree on the ground. So don't detail the background too much, otherwise it will come to the front of the painting. And I made the roof with potter's pink and with light red. And I also added some potter's pink splashes on the windmill to connect them together, and of course some turquoise splashes in the tree and around the windmill. I love turquoise. Just use the colors that you like most. There's nothing pink here in reality, but I think potter's pink fits everything. As a black, I like lunar black because it's very textured. So of course you don't have to sketch this windmill, just sketch something typical from where you are at the moment in your sketchbook.